Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of What If Civilization Started Over. I think today is episode 37 or 38, and I have not recorded in about 2 weeks, and I have not posted the video that I recorded 2 weeks ago. So, I have to get that done, but yeah, I will also have to get this done and post it soon, guys. Yeah, I just... Anyways, let's get right into today's episode. And the first thing we will actually be seeing will be over here. Because as we can see, the Persians have gotten pretty crippled. And yes, I will change the rankings today. So, the Yemen country knows that if they attack Persia, Ethiopia will most likely attack them. Then Tanzania will attack Ethiopia. And then Madagascar will attack Tanzania. So basically it'd be like a three-way war. Or a two-way war. Yeah. Anyways, so even knowing this, they still want to test out their luck. So they end up declaring war on the people of Persia. And they specifically really only want the Arabian lands, or the Arabian lands of the Persians. So, yeah, we see that the Oman country, with Persia being honestly severely weakened, I'd say, they will make a pretty big push into them, as well as Oman. Oman will take over the rest of these areas, and then they have started to send troops over here to protect the rest of Yemen for an invasion. But now, we continue to see that Yemen ends up making a pretty strong push, and they end up taking over all of the land that they wanted. But right at the end, Ethiopia knows that all of their troops are like up here and are still fighting some Persians. So Ethiopia looks around and sees that these areas of the front line are covered. This area is very lightly covered. But the shores around here, and even in this country are not protected at all. So, with Ethiopia being really smart, well, not really smart, but like, you get it. Ethiopia, like with their tactics that they're gonna use, they will invade a little right there to make them think they're all gonna push it there. Then they're also gonna push in the second most defended area. And then when there's an even bigger like defense over here, and there's like a few guys over here, then they make a push up here and take out this coast, which will make Yemen go on a full kind of like lockdown. They'll just like really quickly like try to get over there to stop it. But this leads to a small pushback by Persia, and in fact it's even gonna be a bigger pushback down this coast, as they will even push back into the Oman lands that invaded them. And the Oman country will lose most of the land that they had taken. And yeah, so not good for these guys. But seeing this, the Yemen country will finally get their guys back over here and make a pretty big pushback. But now this is Ethiopia's time to strike, as Yemen did not realize that they did not have a protected coastline. So Ethiopia very quickly makes a landing over here, and then they actually start to circle or try to cut off the capital from the rest of the lands from two sides. And in fact, they start they start going down the coast even. So not good for them. And then right here is where Yemen strikes back, as they know that if they push back like around here, well, Ethiopia will just cut off right there. So they chose to cut off a not so defended area, as now they're pushing to cut off a ton of Ethiopian troops, which could change the tide of this war flow. And seeing this, it does give Yemen some chance to get back in this. And in fact, they almost push out the Ethiopians, but then the Ethiopians realize that if all of their troops are over here, these major cities won't be defended. Without these major cities, well, it'll be even harder for them to win this war. So we see that the Yemen country is getting beat back very badly, as now Ethiopia has taken over pretty much all of this land, and in fact they are now encircling this major city, which is successful, and that they take it. And now we see this cutoff, which is bound to happen, and the invasion of Oman, which is also bound to happen. Now, the reason why Tanzania did not get involved is because there was a trade between them, where if these guys did not get involved, the Tanzanians would gain some land. So, in the peace treaty, we will see that. But, seeing their very weakened state, Persia decides to fold over to the Yemen country, which helps them so much, as now the Oman country is able to push back because they don't have to defend up against as much on Persia. And Oman, hearing this, has a boost in morale. Now, their last thing before we move on for now will be that they make a pretty big pushback, and in fact fully taking out this region, which gives them a lot bigger of a chance. And in fact, they start a small invasion of Ethiopia. Yeah, I know, it's full frontline invasion, not really that small at all, but yeah. Now we will actually go over to Europe, where we will see yet another event happen. Now, what is this? Well, as you can see, these guys have grown a lot. Yeah, they're planning on potentially connecting up to the Baltic Sea and the Atlantic Ocean, to also maybe the Black Sea. But yeah, that's just like what they hope might happen. But actually over here, this Russian country, the Red Russian country, isn't too strong, but also isn't like weak. So while the Baltic nation is richer than them, but also a lot weaker than them. So the Russians, realizing that they could easily gain sea access, they end up invading into this country. But yeah, so we see them quickly barge into the mainly Estonian regions of the country, and then we see them also invade into all of the Lithuanian lands. Now over here, we will actually see a new country form. Why? Well, because this region has really wanted to rebel for so long, but it hasn't been able to. So seeing that, the Estonians will surrender. Yeah, that was a pretty quick war, but also the Estonians weren't strong at all. So let's go ahead and see this peace treaty. And in this peace treaty, we can see that the Russians did fully annex the Estonian/Baltic Union nation, and also the kind of like Königsberg, or Königsberg has became its own country, and yeah. Yes, I'm calling it Königsberg because I forgot what it's currently called, so, this region, what it's currently called. So, yeah, I'm calling it Königsberg. But the next event will be over in North America, as we can see the big green American team that is not liked by that many nations in North America. And in fact, the countries in North America such a hate for these guys that two of them decide to join the Canadian country, as we will see that this gold British Columbia country will join up with them, and then also the Alaskans will join up, making them quite a bit stronger and a lot bigger. So they are now one of the biggest countries, if not the biggest country in the world, and probably, the biggest in North America. Now, the only truths really between is this country and these guys. But anyways, yeah, so now we will actually see a mini war against the Green Americans, as the Canadians will make a massive front line and invasion against the Green Americans, and all of these lands that are being shown taken are all ran. Can I speak? Why am I saying rans? All lands that had no defense, and from here on out there will be a lot of defense in these regions. Well, not a lot, some to a good amount. And in this region there was only a few defenses, and in these regions, however, there was a lot of defenses, but the Canadians ended up having a really good initial push. So, it was a really big shock to the Green Americans. And we can still see that shock in effect as they get to around here with barely any to no defenses, or no defense attacking them. So this is about where the Canadian country says, hey, if you want, we can peace out at this much land, because if you start invading us, you'll probably be attacked, because most countries in this continent do not like you. So, Green America is kind of like being threatened with either taking the peace treaty or just dying. So, they choose the safer option, which is taking the peace treaty. So, let's go ahead and see that. And in this peace treaty that was negotiated for a decent amount of time, around 2.5 months, we see that there was a big amount of land taken from the Green Americans, as the Canadians got pretty much all of the land that they wanted and a little more. As over here, they had only taken up to like here, but they ended up getting those in the peace deal because like Green America was being threatened. What could they do? But yeah, so that is all the land that they will take in this. And now I gotta say, there's no way any country is bigger than them in the world, including this country right here. They are not bigger. So these guys are like, oh, so now is this like a competition between who's bigger? Well, fine, we'll just invade our weakest neighbor, which is actually not them, it is these guys. But they don't really see this as like any good opportunity. Well, to them, this is a great opportunity. So, the pink Siberian, or the like light red, I don't know what to call this country, dark pink. The dark pink Siberian country will make a very strong invasion into all of these lands. The only reason why it took them like a month and a half to get all of that, but they can't advance really any further into these lands after taking that, well, it's because that these guys were a lot stronger than they thought, and they really had like no resources in any of the areas taken at the time. So they will decide that this is good enough for the amount of land that they want to take, and they call for a peace treaty, which will end up being accepted. So let's go ahead and see what happens before another war. And this ends up being the peace treaty of this war. As we can see, the Siberian country just gained a ton of land, is now back in the I can't speak today. What is going on? It's back in the competition against Canada for whoever's the biggest, which I still think I would hand over to the Canadians, as they do hold a ton of land. And in fact, I would say that Canadian country is bigger than Canada in real life. But yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead and see the next thing that will happen, which we will actually be going back to this war, where we actually have now seen tons of pushbacks, and it looks like again Yemen will be the one winning. And in fact, Yemen fully kicks out Ethiopia from Africa, including in Ethiopia's actual land. So yeah, not too good for the Ethiopians. But to make it even worse, real quick, we will see what the Tanzanians have what lands that the Tanzanians got from them. Now, the reason why it was important to show Ethiopia the lands that Ethiopia had given to Tanzania was actually because, seeing what's happening in the war, Tanzania's breaking their promise, because they know that if this region gets put back under Ethiopia's control, they can literally just take it back in this war. So, yeah, not too good for the Ethiopians, as we in fact now see that the Tanzanians are picking up a ton of speed, as we can see right here, and they have in fact done all that, and yeah, not good. So, the Tanzanians are like a centimeter away from making the Ethiopians surrender. And do you want to know what ends up making them surrender? Landing in a major city. Yemen just took over a major city, and Ethiopia was like, yep, we surrender. We surrender over to you, Yemen. You make the peace treaty. So, let's go ahead and see this peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty of this war. As we can see, Ethiopia lost a ton of land in this. So we can see that Tanzania gains all of that land, doubling or making them around like 1.5 times bigger, I'd say. Not really, but you get it. But it makes them a lot richer. So, now Ethiopia is even more crippled than what they would have been from just losing to Yemen instead. But yeah, now Ethiopia is pretty small in terms of land. Well, not really small, but like weak. They're weak now. And yeah, so Yemen, Oman, and Tanzania all won this war. As we can see, Yemen is almost at their peak, or is at their peak. At this point, Oman has really just kind of became like a burden to them, as they haven't been too strong. So they will at first ask them to unite with them, and then these guys will think about it, and then the Oman country will actually be like, okay, we've thought about it, and we are wondering, do you want to unite with us? Is what they say. And then Yemen says, sure, Oman's capital. So yeah. Anyways, there will be one last event in today's episode, and that will be the rankings. After a while, they will finally get changed, and the rankings have actually changed a pretty good amount. So, let's go ahead and see what this looks like. And this is the new ranking. The left side is the new one, and the old is, or the right side is the old ranking. So number 1, the Iberian Union, which has stayed the same for both. Number 2 on both is the Sultanate, not the Sultanate Empire, what am I talking about? The Sultanates. Number 3 is Greece for the new list, and the old list was Persia, which is actually now off of the top 20, as they are now, I'd say, the 23rd strongest. Yes, that amount of land that they've lost in the past 2 episodes has knocked them very far down in rankings, from 3rd to 23rd. Now, number 4 is Brazil in the new rankings. Number 5 is actually the Union of Southeast Asia, which is this country right here. They have very quickly became very strong as they showed up not that long ago. And they united with like all the countries in this area and got really strong from it. So, the next is this Indian country right here. As after defeating all of the other countries, very surprisingly, they have gained a lot of strength. 7, not too surprising, but it is Adriatica. Number 8, Belize. So, Belize on both rankings has now stayed the same, as they are currently trying to boost their economy instead of their military. Niger has actually came up 4 places in the rankings. And then Green France, who was originally not on this list, is now 10th in the rankings as they have gotten very strong. And 10th on the old list, which is now not in the top 20 anymore, is Madagascar, as they're also mainly trying to focus on economy, and because of that, over the past few years, or more like over the past few decades, the other countries have caught up and passed them. So Madagascar is now around 21st instead. Now, Red Argentina is making a pretty big jump. They go from 17th to 11th, which is a jump in by 6 rankings. They don't have many major cities, but they are actually currently building a lot of major cities. So, yeah. And also, we now see that Caucasia is on this list, which originally they were not. And Morocco has gone up 2 spots in the rankings, from 15th to 13th, as they are currently being like stable on how much they go up in power, because they aren't trying to make themselves collapse. But yeah. Now 14th is the Italians, and they were actually 16th before this. So yeah, they have gone up 2 spots in the rankings. And then after Italy is number 15, Green America, who has actually dropped 8 rankings. Yes, all of the lands that they have lost, and especially from this, they need a lot of time to rebuild and get back their strength. And then we got Tanzania, which originally was not on this, or actually they were 20th. I accidentally called them Tanzania again instead of Kenya, which they are actually Kenya. So, my bad. But now we see that Siberia has entered the top 20 at 17th. Yes, they are not too strong, but they are really big. And then we also see that the Venezuelans have stayed in the same spot in the rankings from the last time I did them. And also, we now see that Canada has entered the top 20 at number 19. And it's the same story as Siberia. Very big, not super strong, but they are strong. Like if half of the countries in North America besides Green America went up against them, they would have around like a 70 to 80% chance of winning. Yes, half of the countries. So like Quebec, oh my gosh. These guys, I'll remember their name later. The Washington country and these guys, the Californians, they would have like a 80% chance of winning that war if they went up against them. But yeah. And 20th, deservingly, although if they build up, they could soon be like in the top 15, is Ukraine. So yeah, that is the new rankings of the world and how strong the top 20 countries are. And yeah, and we'll actually be seeing one more thing in this episode happen. That will be something happening with actually Red Argentina, as they are planning to go to war. With who, you may ask? Well, real quick, let's check who they border. We got the Buenos Aires country, that's what I'm calling them. I'm just gonna call these guys Chile, honestly. They're Chile. They're the southern South America country. Yeah. And they also border Peru and, well, Mr. South America. Yeah, that's their nickname, Mr. South America, because they're the strongest in their continent. So yeah. Now we will actually see what country the Argentinians will attack. Now, will it be the Buenos Aires country, the Chile country, or the southern South America country, or will it be Peru? Well, they actually have pretty good relations with Peru, so they won't do that. These guys, they don't wanna. These guys annoy them, but like, there's no point in attacking them. They won't really gain much at all from it. So they end up invading this country. Yeah. And well, as you may guess, Red Argentina is in the top 20, almost the top 10, and these guys are like maybe top 40, but they might not even be top 40. They are in the top 50. They're like maybe they could be in the top 40, but it'd be very, very close. Like they're either 39th, 40th, or they're 41st. And honestly, they're probably 40th, so they are in the top 40, but yeah. And this is a pretty quick peace treaty, as, well, what else is there for Red Argentina to do? So, they will end up fully annexing this country, and now they probably, from that, are in the top 10. Just like that. They got that much stronger from that. Yes, the amount of strength that that country had is enough to push them up by one rank, as they are also directly behind Green France, which now Green France is directly behind them. So yeah, now that is the final theme of this episode, and if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like down below. If you want to see more of my videos, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. And also, make sure to comment down your favorite country in the series so far. Could be the Red Argentinians, so if it is, big W for you guys, because they've just got like a lot bigger. And yeah, Or is it the Canadians? Or maybe is it the Moroccans? Or it could also be the new Union of Southeast Asia country. Or it's the Indians, who wouldn't be that bad at the pick. They're pretty strong. But yeah, that is all for today's episode, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.